a couple times. Yeah. Okay. So with that ordeal out of the way, welcome to another Saturday live stream. I thought I was going to start this early. Turns out I'm 17 minutes late, but, you know, you're all here for it. Let me just get my wits about me. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. It wouldn't be a Headphone Show live stream without technical difficulties. You can even hear my chair protesting. What does that even mean? All right. I'm just going to take these off. I was just using these to monitor the audio levels. What's your opinion of the IE200 from Sennheiser? I think it's good. I mean, it's okay. I think the reason you buy the IE200 is for its form factor, right? For sound quality, I think it's good. I wouldn't say it's amazing, right? It's got that sort of V-shaped, kind of U-shaped sound signature. But what I like about those ones is that they didn't go too high on the ear gain. Moondrop Dark Saber, I don't know yet. I don't have that in yet. But today what we're going to do is we're going to go through the backlog of stuff. So for folks who are maybe unaware of what it's like to be a headphone reviewer, you get sent a lot of stuff and you never have time to cover everything. And I still want to. So in today's video or today's live stream, I'm going to be doing some live testing of all of this stuff. This isn't even all of it. This is just the stuff that I'm going to be going over in this one. And maybe we'll do this as like a regular, monthly roundup of just the stuff that I wasn't able to do full videos on. I think that'd be kind of cool, right? And then we can do it in a live format here. But I'm also going to be doing live measurements. So you guys are going to see some of that measurement process. I'm going to see how many of these I'm going to get through. I'll try and get through all of them. I don't know if I will, because sometimes it can take quite a long time to actually measure, especially with the 5128 using the actual pinna. And I'm going to show you how I actually go about ensuring that what my measurement is here on the 5128 is representative to have a seal. So if you guys want to take a look in the description box, let me know which ones you want me to start with. And then I figure what we'll do is we'll go through these as much as we can, and then we will do Spicy Hour after that. Okay, sound good? Thieaudio Hype 2, a mini version of the Monarch? Maybe. We'll find out. No. You can't go straight to the Timeless 2. Timeless 2 is going to go at the end, all right? It's cheating if you go with the Timeless 2. All right, so as usual, guys, these live streams are made possible by the folks over at headphones.com. Big thanks to headphones.com for all of the support and all the measurement equipment. If you're wondering where all of these come from, the majority of them were actually sent in by Linsoul, but also some of them were sent in by community folks as well. In particular, the Audiosense DT200. Shout out to listener and listener's friend. I'm sorry I'm blanking on your name. I know your name, but I don't know your Discord handle. I don't want to dox you. So, yeah, big thanks to folks who sent that stuff in. I did already measure the DT200, and maybe we can actually start there. DT200 is kind of insane for how well it measures. Let me just bring that up here. If I can switch this to the... Aha! Does this work for you guys? Are you able to see that, or should I make it larger? I'll make it larger. All right. So that's the DT200. Compensated, of course. And It measures extremely well. Here's the raw. And this is with the stock tips that it comes with. And that's this one here. And this, the reason why I've been measuring this IEM is actually for an article from Listener. And that it's either already posted or it will be posted soon. I'm not sure. Right, this is the DT200. And it was an IEM that was, I think you could get it for around $60. So it was not particularly expensive. You could get it on AliExpress. And this was used as an example of like, you know, it measures really well relative to diffuse field with a tilt, right? This is a 10 decibel tilt going on here. And now, interestingly, I find that for me, how I hear it is the way that it measures with some different tips, which actually shows a significant elevation, you know, in this region right here. And it's kind of an interesting IEM in that sense because it shows that, you know, for a person with an ear shape, I suppose, similar to the one that you get from the B&K 5-2-8, it would be quite good. It would be well received. But for people who have a different ear shape, or maybe ear canal shape, the result you get here, measured and subjectively heard, is different enough to where it is fatiguing, I find, in this, like lower treble section here. And it's funny because when I first did the measurements, I did them with just some generic Moondrop tips, or just the ones that come with the Moondrop IEMs, and it showed this like crazy elevation in this section here. Not crazy, but like significant enough elevation in that region. And I thought, okay, it's pretty good otherwise, right? Like the rest of it is really well balanced. You know, the bass and in the mids is great. It's a little, maybe people want more bass, but it performed well except for that region. I thought, yeah, it's fine. Just a bit much glare. And then I swapped over to the stock tips from this, and it measured like this. And this is a lot better than the ones, at least for the measured result, than with the Moondrop ones. But subjectively, even with the stock tips, I hear it like it measures with the Moondrop ones. So there's that. Let me just actually pull that up if I can. You'll have to forgive me here because I sent it over to Listener when I was testing this. But I do want to shout out the article that Listener's been working on because there's a lot that goes into it. It's called the Shape of IEMs to Come. Let me just open up the... Wow, that's not going to work at all, is it? All right, this should work now. Right, so that's how it measures. That's how it sounds to me. Right, so this is a couple different seatings, and not something I'm into. It's just too much glare in this region. But if you have an ear canal, again, such that it measures the way it's intended to, or such that it measures your eardrum the way it's intended to, I think it's quite a remarkable achievement. But let me now move on to one of the other ones. Also, guys, if you're wondering why I'm not at CanJam, there's a reason for that. And it's because I actually remain chained to the desk here. If you didn't know that, Taryn keeps me locked up, and I'm not allowed to leave until I go through the measurements. No, I'm just kidding. It's a bit of a long story as to why I'm not at CanJam. Because the rest of our team is right now, and I am getting, major FOMO not being able to hang out with them. That's, those are always great community events where you get to hang out with all of your online friends and listen to and nerd out about, headphones and gear and stuff like that. But yeah, it turns out that I am not allowed into the United States until I have a visa. I have the visa application has been submitted, but it hasn't. I don't have it yet, so I had to miss this one essentially. And my hope is that I'll have it before the New York event in March next year. Yeah, I get to hang with you guys instead. It's kind of a long story. Taryn and I earlier in the summer, we had a trip planned out where we were trying to go to do this sort of like audio-based road trip adventure in the States, to go on a pilgrimage to do a factory tour. But it didn't work out because we got stopped at the border, pulled into secondary, and then because I had this is the reason. I had a camera with me, this camera, in the front seat of the car when we were going across the border, and that's why they pulled me into secondary. And then it turns out that because we monetize the YouTube channel, we make less than $1,000 a month off of that. Like it's not really anything. Because we monetize the YouTube channel, it means that anything that I captured with the camera, they classified as work, which means that, I am now not able to go and do that. The bigger issue is that anytime I do want to go to the States, even if I'm not, filming anything, I'm still going to get pulled into secondary because they took my fingerprints and basically put me in the system. And they told me that if I try and go to the States again for work without a work visa, I'll get arrested. So in the interest of not getting arrested, I have to wait until I get a visa, which is a bummer, but that's just the way it is. You just got the Thieaudio Hype 2 yesterday. Pretty damn good. All right. Maybe we'll start with that one. Seems like people are interested in that. I saw there's a question here. I don't know if y'all agree, but I think raw measurements are easier to read than compensated. Yeah, I would have had that assumption initially as well, but it turns out that that's not actually the case when you get used to looking at compensated measurements. And the reason is human beings are not good at reading parallel lines relative to one another. There have been so many times when I look at a raw measurement and think, yeah, that's reasonable, and then I see it compensate and go, whoa, there's actually like a pretty strong, peak or a dip in a given region. So compensated is actually way better because the sign illusion doesn't apply with compensated measurements. Sorry, not sign illusion, parallel line illusion. What am I talking about? Parallel line illusion doesn't exist. I think somewhere else it was called sign illusion, but yeah, if you're compensating it. So it's just going to take a little bit of time for folks to understand that. We have a system now. It's actually live for over-ear headphones, where we're going to be showing preference boundaries around the target. Because again, one of the biggest misconceptions about how headphones measure, and everybody does this, is they think any deviation from this line or this curve is bad. And the reality is that's not true. It's just that it may not be as applicable for a given segment. For starters, right? Say if it's a little brighter or a little warmer, it might be more applicable for one segment or another. But the other is that people's ears vary as well. And so you're getting a representation of how something performs on one head. If it's on a different head, say your head, you may get a different frequency response at your eardrum. So having both multiple rigs is good, and thankfully we do now, but also having preference windows around the target to show that, hey, not everybody actually prefers one single target. Like, people have different preferences. It's important to reflect that as well. Anyways, that's now live for over-ear headphones, and you'll be able to see what we've sort of done there in the next videos that we produce for over-ear headphones. Compensated is the future. Read up on diffuse field. Yes, we can talk a little bit more about this afterwards, but let me actually start doing some measurements here. We'll go with the Hype 2 to start. There was one comment in here that I wanted to address, and for some reason I'm missing it here. Bit too much emphasis in the air. Yeah. Oh, you guys are talking about the DT200, yeah. Resolve needed more time to play StarCraft, so traveling was not an option. I wish I had more time to play. They just recently rolled out a patch that is controversial, to say the least. All right, let's get into it. It's in the bottom of my pile here. Can I do this without, like, dumping everything? All right. Thieaudio Hype 2. Let's find out how much this thing costs. All right. Zio said Hype 2 was V-shaped and lacked mids. All right, we'll find out. I actually don't know how much this costs. $300 from Linsoul. So for the configuration here, 2 dynamic drivers and 2 BAs. I can open this up. I suspect I know what they're doing for the bass drivers in here, which is, it says 2 dynamic drivers, but it's probably the isobaric configuration where they're kind of like, you know, connected to one another. Oh, I did already review the 9200. It's, you know, it's weird. Okay. The 9200 is a weird sounding headphone, but I like it. It's very comfortable. And it's not difficult to EQ. Yeah, you know, honestly, Hobby Talk, I'm not a fan of the isobaric stuff. It's not... I agree with Critical in that sense. Not a big fan of the isobaric stuff. The usual case. Let's see if there's anything in here. Smells like petroleum products. Ooh, it's very pungent. Okay, you get a cloth here, and you get some tips, and then you get some other tips. We'll use those. We also have the, what is this one here underneath? Thieaudio Prestige LTD. Maybe I didn't put that in the description. I forgot I had that one. All right. I like the way that the Thieaudio IEMs look and feel. I'm a fan. Okay. I need to get one of those new Fuji cameras that has the product detection, or like product mode. You guys see that okay? Focus. Not on me. That looks pretty cool. The usual shell as well. The shell design is on the large side, but not, you know, horrendous or anything. You recently got HD 600s. Well done. Do a bit of a bass boost. Calm Tempest, they did a live stream of the live review of the 9200. It's a weird one. The funny thing is, they may have changed it. They may have changed the tuning somehow, depending on the run. Because I saw some measurements of it that were different from the unit that I got, but I also saw measurements out there of that match it perfectly. So, not entirely sure what's going on there, but I did find it easy to EQ. I found it comfortable, and after EQ, like, they got the fine grain stuff right, if that makes sense, right? It's just that, you know, they're trying to do this extra air kind of openness. You know, the idea of making a closed back headphone sound open. That's what they're trying to do. You saw... what is Bootaster? I don't know what that is. Make sure you push the 2 pins all the way. They should click in. I'm having a hell of a time opening up the tip bag here. I'll just like use these for the rest. Not all tips are created equally. All right. What's a reasonable upgrade from the U12T? You know, I don't really know about reasonable upgrade from the U12T, but I think you should look for... U12T is kind of like warm but U-shaped, right? I think you should consider something like maybe something with like a dynamic driver, right? I would do one of two things. I would either go for something more neutral, just so you can have kind of both there. And then I would also, the other option would be to go with something like a IER Z1R, right? Or something like that. Okay. And I'm going to listen first, then measure on the 5128. I'll show you guys what that looks like. Make sure my EQ is off. What songs should I listen to? You guys tell me. I have just a regular playlist that I kind of go through. Turn it on so you guys can hear it. It'll be real quiet because otherwise that'll be annoying. Try some metal. Could you guys hear this? Okay. You can't hear it? It's... All right. You can probably hear it now, right? Yeah. So this is Ting Valtrio's Beat. Great song. I use it for testing all the time. Nice piano recording there. So this one right away sounds very upper mid-rangey, lower treble-y to me. It's detailed for sure. Bass is nice. Bass is tactile. You know, it has gumption and beef. Those are my two new terms, gumption and beef. But definitely not neutral. Very clear sounding, but has some coloration in the upper mids and treble. And did Zeus say that this didn't have any mids? It may be missing a bit of... maybe missing a bit of lower mids. But it doesn't sound like it's like super V-shaped. Just slightly wrong in the upper mids and treble. But for this type of music, it works quite well. Let's move on to something else. Yeah, no. Too much treble. God. I need to tip roll for this. That's not good. Wow, that's... So for jazz and that piano jazz stuff, that's great. But for anything like what I just listened to, that's monstrous. Treble. Lower treble. I would not use this as a regular all-rounder. that was immediately noticeable from just that one. Like as soon as I switched over to that track, it was like, no. Trying to tip swap here. Immediate cringe face. Yeah, exactly. Why can't I get these other tips on here? It's like they didn't. It's like the nozzle is not the right shape for the tips that come with it. Okay, well, whatever. Let's measure it. Yeah, these tips work fine. The treble's great once you adapt. That okay? I'll listen to something else. There's no way I could adapt to that. Midnight at the Oasis. Vocal tracks, right? Bass is really nice. I get the V-shaped comment now. Whew. That's all right, so when she says shadow, the sh sound is like, wow. It's not like it's super out of whack. It's just out of whack enough to where I have a hard time with this. I get the V-shaped comment now. Yeah, it definitely sounds like like you have music playing at two different volumes. There's like the lower treble and the rest of the treble, and then which is like really at one volume, and then there's like the rest of what's going on. So this one I'm gonna say right now is not for me, but let me measure it. Maybe it's for you. And this is where things get tricky. So I want to kind of let you guys in on the process here for how we need to measure on the 5128. I'm going to try and pull this up here so you can see. And I'm going to just mute the sound here because otherwise you'll be hearing pink noise. Do I speak French? No. Well, I mean, I can get by. I can survive. But I wouldn't exactly say that I'm particularly competent at French. All right. So what I want to do here is first I need to make sure that I'm using the right input. The left. Is this even going to work? Use the right input. I may need to, swap this to left. There we go. It's tricky to stream with a microphone going to the same interface that the measurement equipment's going to. But let me just... All right, that's working. So... Not getting... Did I use the right side? Let's just double check that this is actually working. Oh, it's not. That would be because I don't have the input device specified. There we go. It's working now. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, I should use the measuring mic to start an ASMR channel. That actually would not be a good idea, and there's reasons for it. Because it'd be like compounding the effect of an ear and an ear canal. I'd have to the only way I could do that is if I built the compensation into the recording, like the DFH RTF maybe, and even then I don't know if that would work. Okay, now you'll see that, yeah, exactly. Let's start this again. So right now we're not getting a seal, if you guys can see this. I need to find the position. This is with the equivalent of an FFT, essentially. There's a seal there. And there. So now that we know there's a seal, we can do a measurement. All right. 1 second here, guys. Got a measurement. Let me just open up. I realized I need to grab my targets here. All right. There we go. How do you know when there's a good seal? Right. So I just, as I was just showing you guys, with the RTA, well, it's called RTA in RumiQ Wizard, but which is real-time analysis, I believe. But that's essentially the same as a fast Fourier transform, an FFT. And so what I do is I basically just show it in low res, not the measurement, but when I'm doing the averaging, let's say. It'll show me in the FFT here, right? If this is extended and elevated sufficiently all the way down to 20 hertz, then you know that there is some then you're getting a seal. Now there can be variations of seal. You can have a slight seal or a better seal, but that's going to happen on humans anyways. So what we'll do now that I have this is I will, and this is representative, right? Don't worry about this feature here. That's if I properly used putty or something to seal it in place, you wouldn't see this, right? This is the IEM rocking in place. So it's been expressed that it is most likely the case. So here we have essentially the measurement. Let me, oops, I should change the name here. This is the Thieaudio Hype 2. All right, and let's change the color here to red. We'll change the color here to black. Go like that. And we'll align it. Hey, what do you know? It's not bad. It's just this section, right? This is what I was sort of talking about. Obviously, yeah, you get a lot of upper treble too. That's quite zingy, 13K. This is what's problematic right here. And yeah, I mean, like this is probably why someone like Zeus would describe it as being a bit V-shaped. It's got a lot of bass, good bass, I'd say. Like it's elevated towards a sub bass. And then it's got a lot of this sort of lower treble and then upper treble. But this isn't really bad. This isn't that noticeable, right? So the nice thing about it is that it has ear gain, not quite to the level of the DFH RTF, which I think is good. I think this is about, you know, how I would want maybe a little more, but not much more. But then this is the problem. This is immediately what I noticed and what I didn't like. Andrew puts the wizard in RumiQ Wizards. Is my camera too dark? 1 second here. There we go. Are IEM measurements smooth to a different degree than over ear? The graph doesn't always seem as fine-grained. No, usually, well, this isn't smooth yet at all, but usually 1/12th. What's perceptually relevant here is also like, can you hear 1/12th even? Like, not really. Like if you do manual sweeps, you'll know what I'm talking about with this stuff. That really, like, I mean, you could smooth it to 1/6 even, and this would probably be even more perceptually relevant than 1/12th. But yeah, I think 1/12th is good because at least it shows all the information that would be perceptually relevant and more, and then it also is readable enough. So that's the Hype 2. Let me now just show you relative to the DFH-RTF. So this was raw, so now I'm showing you compensated here. All right. So this is what I didn't like. Oops. This right here is what I didn't like. This, yeah, I mean, you notice it. It's zingy up there. It seems like a lot of IEM companies are trying to go for broke with, upper treble. But, nah, not for me, this one. Not because of this, but because of this. And the rest of it is fine. I don't have any issues with the rest of it. This is right. This is where that. So like, if shout is like 3K, this section here is like glare, right? Or I don't know what else I would describe it as. Glare, haze. It's pretty fatiguing with some of the tracks I was listening to. So you guys can hear the pink noise, I guess, because it's coming through the measurement equipment. I hope it's not too loud for you guys. Esoteric avant-garde tunes right there. You're telling me Midnight at the Oasis is esoteric? Come on. It's a classic jazz song. And Eric Clapton? Eric Clapton is pretty well understood, well known. How high is the 5K peak? So this is on the B&K 5128. Let me just pop it over to the Gross now. I have these. There we go. Same tips. Yeah, I mean, I hope you can hear the sweep. All right. There it is on the Gross. Let me just pop the other channel in, make sure channel matching is good. It's actually kind of Harmon-esque if you think about it. That's not a seal. You can tell right away if there's a broken seal when you're previewing the measurement. Let's make this a little quicker. Seal broke again. Channel matching's good. Oh, is it still is it crackling again? Come on, guys. I rely on you guys. All right, 1 second. Let me just. I'm curious. This looks actually pretty close to Harmon on the Gross. Let me just pull that up here. I'm gonna find it. We don't use Harmon for in-ears because it's just not it's not suitable. Specifically the testing, I don't find their methodology for the in-ears to be particularly compelling. For over-ears, I'm all on board with that. Yeah, it is okay. So it's not as much glare as what you get with Harmon IE, right? It's a little bit more relaxed here. And this is what I was saying. Like, if you look at the P&K measurement here, the ear gain here is a little relaxed, right? But that's also why this is so noticeable to me. Yeah, immediately not great. But for folks who like Harmon, this is not too far off. I'd say it's a little bit warmer than Harmon, you know, except for the upper treble. So if you like Harmon, here's a Harmon-like ish kind of tuning, slightly more clockwise tilted than Harmon. Okay, 5-8 looks like a different IEM. Yeah. So actually, let me just show you guys one thing here. I'm gonna show you the compensated results here for both. So what we're doing at the moment is we're in the process of acquiring the DFH-RTF of the Gross Keymar with the KB5000 pinna, because the one that exists is not for the correct ear. It's for the large format ear, the 065, I believe. Where the hell is it? Gross Keymar DF. So let me just show you what the compensated result here looks like by comparing both to their respective DFH-RTFs. But again, the Gross one is not for the right ear. Okay. So let's go with, it doesn't matter which one of these we go with, Gross Keymar DF. And what I find interesting about this is, yeah, it's kind of illustrates the limitations of 711 in the lower frequencies. Let me just align these. Right? So, but the funny thing is, so if you just ignore the lower frequencies, because below 200 hertz, the 711 systems are not, like the Gross systems, they're not accurate as the B&K. That's one of the limitations. But you can see when I compensate there is a slight difference, but you do see those features, right? So let me show you both here. Well, they're both red, so that's not useful. All right. So red is on the B&K head, and then red is on the Gross. Yeah, what did I just say? Red is on the B&K head, the teal is on the Gross head. And we should think of them as heads. And obviously with the B&K, it's more accurate below 200 hertz and more accurate above 10K. But these features show up on both, just with a slight difference. So I just think this stuff is interesting. Orchestra is making DF target for Keymar with KB5000. Yes, we're paying him for it. Yeah, no, he's helping us out with that. That's the point. So this is with the 065 pinna, which is the large format one, and he hasn't sent it yet. But I believe he hasn't sent it yet because he's in SoCal right now. But yeah, he did, from my understanding, he did do that already. Next time you face someone who seeks science and audio research criticizing you of why you don't embrace the Harmon IE, unlike their OET, can you respond their audio Can you respond? They're audio Scientologists. No, no. Like Harmon IE is still science. It's just that it's not particularly thorough, right? It's not like they didn't do that the way they did the over ear stuff, right? What I find commonly though when having these kinds of discussions online with people is they either disregard their own experience with stuff, which is a relevant data point, or, and this is more common, they'll cherry pick things from the science that support their narrative, rather than taking the science as a whole, right? So they won't engage with the full body of research. They'll just engage with this one little point of it, unless they'll just take it out of context, and then they'll say, you know, whatever I said is true because of this one little thing. Never mind all the rest of from the same researchers, right? Like you can show them the interview with Dr. Olive, who basically he kind of like debunks a lot of the thinking and the narratives that some of these people are trying to put forward. And you can show them the interview and they'll be like, no, that's not true. But then they'll reference, you know, his work. It's like, what the hell? Like the man said it himself. It's kind of crazy. Harmon IE 2017 doesn't even have any published papers on it. I don't know if that's true. The one thing that was clarified by Dr. Olive is that they didn't do the same formal listening experiments for in-ears that they did with over-ears. There was a lot fewer people who did it, and they started from the assumption that you wouldn't need to have a different frequency response at the eardrum. Like the starting point for their curve didn't need to be different for in-ears compared to over-ears, which is a good assumption. I don't have any issues with that assumption. But if you look at, you know, the level of ear gain that they started with, it's massive. You know, so I think whatever they did for the over-ear stuff, they should have, well, maybe they will in the future, but it'd be great if they applied that same level of rigor. So I agree with Clinical in that sense. Did not pass the smile test. Why did you not go to CanJam? Yeah, I addressed this earlier. Basically, I'm banned from the States until I get a visa. All right, next one. Let's go. So we have these results now. Saving all of it, and then I will let me know what the next one is that you want me to cover. Just, you know, conclusion on the Hype 2. It's just too much glare in the lower treble to be an all-rounder for me. So I don't really recommend it. But if you have it and you love it, that's fine. Great. For me, it is too much glare in the lower treble. Just to make that clear. All right, let's see what's next here. Channel needs more subs to make him smile. Yeah, exactly. All right. You want, I see one for Dolce, one for EM6L, Quintet, Prestige. Hype 2 is good except for the 5K peak. Yeah, I would say so. I'd say Hype 2 is great except for the 5K peak, and the upper treble is a bit zingy. So I if you have the Hype 2, I recommend EQing down that 5K region. It doesn't even need to be a significant filter, like a narrow filter. Like it can be a fairly, like a medium filter would be fine. A Q value of 2, maybe 2.3. I don't know, just a guess. DT200 supremacy actually underrated. I don't like the DT200. I'm sorry. It's too much glare. I mentioned this earlier as well. But yeah, if you have maybe an ear canal that's more like, you know, these the 5 and 2.8, I think it would be pretty good. Yeah. Quintet. See a couple for Quintet. Dude, you think the DT200 is dark? What the hell? No. It's bright. Well, it's not even bright. It's like, it's actually really good, except for 4K. 4.5K is the problem with that one. Quintet. Okay, we're going with Quintet. A bunch of people are going for Quintet. Timeless we're saving for the end, or Timeless 2 we're saving for the end. All right, let's see. How much is the Quintet here? All right. Yeah, so it worked. Quintet. Once again, this one is provided by Linsoul. 220. $189. Oh, because of Canada. Yeah, if it's defaulting to Canadian shekels, or what dollar reduce, that's Australian is dollar reduce. Loonies. Yeah. Canadian monopoly money. All right. So with this one, hybrid Quintet IM, what is the configuration here? Driver. Okay, 10 millimeter dynamic DLC driver, plus a PZT and 2 BA and 1 planar. What the hell? That's an odd combination. That's really weird. All right. It's a good throw. Okay. I'm going to take this out of the... Comes with a case. This is probably where the oops, sorry about that, cable is. And there's a bunch of tips in here as well. I always like to use the tips that come with the IEM. There's a reason why people want to see this weird ass thing. What weird ass thing? Quad brid, yeah. Yeah, that's bizarre. I've never seen all of this in one product. So we'll find out. The cable is pretty nice. I mean, doesn't feel like amazing, but for $200, not bad. When deciding on what drivers to use, they settled on yes. How are the new car's speakers? They are good. They're a bit bright, so I EQ it. But the car also has like I use wavelet, so it's pretty easy for me to EQ that. I drop 2 to 4K by I want to say like around 3 to 4 dB, and then I drop the treble, but I don't boost the bass. Oh wow, what the hell? There we go. It's just a standard 6 speaker setup, not the JBL. And I'm surprised actually that the treble extension is reasonable. Like the upper treble extension is pretty good. All right. Are you excited to spend time with to get some time with the Odyssey MM100 if they bring it back from CanJam? It's a bit unfortunate that Odyssey didn't send us one to check out. I would have liked that. If you guys want us to cover it, let Odyssey know. Because we've tried. And it's just that, yeah, we were not high enough up on their list of folks to send it to. But yeah, we'd love to. Spicy take to most audiophiles: EQ is your friend. EQ is love. EQ is life. I mean, here we are preaching to the choir in this you know, for this channel. Because yes, I of course agree. But there are a lot of folks out there who just, they hate EQ. They hate that I recommend it. They hate me, you know, just because of EQ. Where my issue with that is, you know, if you are committed, and this is going to get me into trouble, but if you are really committed to getting the best sound quality, like if you really want to take your sound quality as seriously as possible, that entails necessarily getting into EQ. And I think that's true for speakers as it is for headphones. All right, so right away, this nozzle is a bit challenging to get the tip on. Jesus Christ. All right, one of them's on. Okay. Oh, did I go too far with the nozzling? Okay, let's listen. There we go. It's comfortable, seals well. Let me listen to some tunes. What should we listen to? I'll try that same piano jazz track that I like to start off with. Be great if I plug the headphones in though, eh? Oh, don't hate people. They're just misguided, or they misunderstand what is good in sound quality and how to achieve it. Okay, here we go. Oh. This is better for me. Yo. It still has a bit much upper air, subjectively at least. But this is better. This sounds a lot more normal. Oh, there's definitely a lot of treble zing though. Holy crap. But it's in a more balanced way. Yeah, this is like, the fine grain stuff is probably a bit, well, it's hard to know. I'm hearing things now in this track with the percussive hits that it's like a bit much there, maybe around 10K. We'll find out, obviously. But subjectively, maybe like 8 to 12K sounds a bit boosted. But I could be totally wrong. Finally, E-tips will tame the upper end. I imagine so, yeah. But this is... It doesn't sound like it has that lower, like the 5K glare. Which, yeah, for me, I'm particularly bothered by that with IEMs. Bass is not quite as nice. Or it's not as punchy. All right. Let's find something else here. Still a bit bright for me. Just a bit. I imagine final E-tips would tame some of this treble, but the balance generally is pretty good. Try some Shakira. Okay. Oh, this one here. Oh, come on. Where's... There we go. No, there's like a 6K or something. Yeah, there's something there that's not great. Okay. How do I feel about this one subjectively? I think this is okay. I don't know if it's what I would choose. It's still a bit bright for me, but I think final, as somebody was saying in the chat, final E-tips would probably make this about right. So let's give it a measure. Is it on par with the Timeless? For like the subjective technicalities stuff? Yeah. Yeah, maybe. All right. I wish it were a little more clockwise. I think that would make it better. Let us now begin with the testing. Left. All right. And you will get some noise. If we turn the volume down a little bit, does that make it less for you? Okay. Do I not have... Oh, right. I need to... Sorry about this. Yeah, right, input. Why is it not showing up? Oh, that's why. It was still on Gross mode. All right. This means it's losing its seal. It's good. Yeah, see, definitely bright. You could tell. I thought it would have more upper treble. Interesting. All right, let me just grab the... Grab the targets here. All right, there we go. Hi from Dad of DMS. What is up? If you are indeed Dad of DMS. All right, let's see how this one does. Like I was mentioning earlier, it's just too bright, you know. But the actual internal balance isn't that bad. Let's go with alignment. Yeah. Yeah. Just a bit bright. Just a bit bright. You know, because of this, right, the elevation here, pardon me, at around 7K, this lower treble is not as noticeable. Or it was only noticeable on the Shakira track. But yeah, from 7K to about 11, it's a bit bright there. Let's compensate it. And this is also, by the way, exactly where I think the final E-tips would help. It would probably just kill everything from around 5K upwards, which is probably what I would want. All right, let's compensate it. Oops, I have the name wrong here. Sorry about that. Kiwi Ears Quintet. Oh no, my mouse is low battery. All right. So there we go. Not a bad result. Not an ideal result. I think it is. They probably tuned this one based on 711 or maybe even clone couplers, because that lower mid-range scoop there is pretty common for that. Pardon me. There we go. Yeah. How do we feel about this? Let me first measure it on the Gross. And keep in mind this is with stock tips, not the final E-tips. I have screwed this up somehow. Right? Oh. Yeah, it looks like 7K, but for somebody it might come up as 6K. But 7K seems like what's going on here. Let's check the other channel. Channel matching could be better, but it's reasonable. These are just the stock tips. These are the large ones, so you get a seal. But they fit just fine. They're not like the itty bitty ones like these ones here. People talk about the soundstage of the quintets feeling a little artificial, but still a fun listening experience. Did anything jump out to you? Yeah, it's a bit bright is how I describe it. But, you know, for most of its, and I think that's, you can look at it one of two ways, right? Either there's too much of that sort of 7K zing to it. Well, 7 to 11, right? Roughly, depending on what you're focusing on. But yeah, would we call that mid treble, roughly? The other way to look at this would be to say, well, there's not enough body, not enough lower mid-range, right? Because the perception of this stuff is relative. So you can't just look at one region of the frequency response in isolation. Let me briefly just pull up Harmon just to check against that and the Gross Keymar. Once again, we will be improving the Gross Keymar here. I don't know how different it's going to be. It should be interesting. If anybody has questions on that, feel free to drop them in the comments or in the chat. Harmon IE, where is my Harmon IE? There we go. So let's check how this does. I keep screwing up the name. The measurements. I don't normally do measurements live. That's why this is steps get missed. Kiwi, here's this one. And so let's see how this looks first relative to the DFH-RTF. And just double check that it's aligned. It should be though. Oh, it's pretty close. Yeah. So this is 711. Again, 200 hertz and below is not as accurate in 711, and neither is the upper frequencies. Let's see how this is relative to 5128. It looks a bit better on the 5128. Except for the lower stuff here. Slightly different. But let us see how it is relative to Harmon, which again we do not use. Yeah, this is more Harmon-like for sure. It's pretty good for for Harmon, for the Harmon folks, but this right here still is noticeable. There we go. This is even more Harmon-like than on 711. So that's interesting. Has Spicy Hour started yet? No. Oh, dude. Danger Zone. Your comments have been pretty good lately. I got to admit. I've noticed them. They don't go unnoticed. Yeah, I mean, that whole situation is kind of funny. I don't really have any, like, political consideration there for that stuff. I just think it's funny. Oh God, no. Like, there's, like, Canadian politics is a rat's nest. I'm not gonna get into. Can you increase the graph window a little bit? You want to see it a little bit more clearer. How's that? Let's just directly obscure my face. There we go. Yeah, this is a pretty Harmon-like IEM, the Quintet, which is for folks who like Harmon. This is definitely one to choose or one to consider. And like I said, the internal balance is mostly good. I just find it to be a bit too bright, too zingy here, from here to around here. And but the rest of it is pretty good. And I think if it had more body, this would not come across as bright, or if it were not as, zingy up there, it would have been better. Do you guys want to see it raw? Have I shown that yet? Oops. Yeah. Interesting. 7K. Yeah, I would have thought this would have been closer to 8K. But yeah, 7K. Matching Harmon 2019, lower treble, not good. I agree. Like, this is why we don't use Harmon. It's not really a suitable target. For not just that it's not suitable for me, it's that it's not particularly robust of a study that was done for it. And the ear gain level starting point is just way too high. I do have final ear tips handy somewhere, but it doesn't seem to come with them, so I don't want to do that. This is something where Yeah, I mean, I have to get through more of these guys. So let's move on to the next one, shall we? We'll do. Right now I can tell I'm not gonna be able to get through all of them. So Kiwi ears Quintet. No, Harmon's great. Like you said, poor old Harmon with the misspelling. Harmon is great. Harmon is the best and most comprehensive body of preference research we have on this topic. It should be celebrated by all of us in the community, but that doesn't mean that it's immune from issues. Okay, what's the next one, guys? Yeah, I need to do the HU1000 Stealth. I know, it's on my list. I see one for Dolce, one for EM6, another one for EM6. There is also the Prestige, which is a more expensive one if you guys are curious about that, or Prestige Limited. EM6, okay. Well, we're going with EM6. The Orchestra Lite is one I am very interested in, so I hope to do that one. Prestige LTD is not good, someone says. Well, we'll find out. Why are you not at CanJam? Long story. I'm banned from the States until I get my visa. All right, this is the EM6, the Simgot. I'm not familiar with Simgot. This is the first Simgot IEM that I've tested. Nice. Nice. That's pretty cool. It's a trebly one. Actually, the funny thing is going through that DT200, it is an indicator to me that, like, for my ear canal, that lower treble region in particular is often too much. And it probably explains why I don't like, a lot of the, like, for example, the Moondrop S8, I find is just too much glare. But a lot of people like it. This is even more treble. Okay. Thanks for the warning. There's a million boxes in here. Boxes on boxes. And then you get the ear tips. Oh god. The unboxing experience for this has been, oh god. There we go. An ordeal. How do you feel about Moondrop releases? They're becoming FOMO. So, I don't know about that. Moondrop's generally pretty good company. Their stuff is generally of high quality, right? Even if you don't agree with particular tuning for one reason or another, it doesn't work for you. There's thought that goes into it. And they have good QC generally as well. But I think, I don't know, this is my sort of, I don't know if this is a spicy take, but just, having reviewed so many different headphones in the last however long and just sort of seeing what's happening to the headphone industry / hobby, is there are so many products that come out, like especially these types of IEMs. It's like every week there's a new hyped thing, and there's no way to be able to cover everything. But my point here is that I tend to think that this stuff is just getting saturated with stuff that's not meant to be, long lasting in the market, but rather capture interest from one run, right? One or two runs, and then that's it. And and this stuff gets discontinued, and I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that. It's difficult to identify, the really truly iconic things that last on the market for a really long time, like the U12Ts or the, to a certain extent, the Monarch Mark IIs or the Blessing 2 Dusk, right? That stuff was it's somewhat iconic at this point, right? And these days it feels like with all the stuff that's coming out, it's like there's a dime a dozen, and it's hard to know what's actually going to be the next versions of those. Interesting design here. Let me look up first here. Hold on, how much this thing is, and then we will. Actually, I should probably do the testing before I find out how much the price is, right? But I do want to figure out what the configuration is, so. $110. No price bias is good. Yeah, I agree. Should just do no. Okay, for the rest of these, I won't check the price, but I do want to know what does it say on the box? No. Oh, it gives you the frequency response on the box. Awesome. Great job. And it's going after Harmon. Wait, it says H2019. Maybe that's Harmon? Oh, it doesn't quite look like Harmon. Oh no, it is Harmon. I see H2019 target. Okay. And it doesn't quite, does it tell me? Hold on. 1 DD plus 4 BA. Okay. So none of this isobaric stuff. What do you do when you're not chained to the desk? Nothing, because I am chained to the desk. No, this is Taryn's joke. Truthier and Awful are the only brands with a perfect track record. I did not like the Awful stuff that I heard. I thought it was awful. Truthier is generally good, though. Truthier is great. I mean, Truthier is Moondrop, right? Basically, is my understanding. Yeah, subsidiary. There you go. Can you replace me with the back of the box? Well, if they achieve it, let's listen first. Usually, you get more bass with an isobaric, like more level, but not better necessarily. All right. Let us listen. Once again, make sure we plug it in. Truthier isn't Moondrop, someone say? Someone says that it is. What is it? My understanding is that it was an offshoot, right? Like an offshoot of like some folks from Moondrop decided to make Truthier the brand. But don't quote me on that. I'm just basing it on what you guys are saying in the chat. All right, so this is the Simgot EM6L. You see that? Yeah, people from Moondrop. I don't actually know if it's in a subsidiary. Yeah, Moondrop employees. That makes sense. That makes sense. That was my understanding as well. Okay, what are we gonna listen to? I need song suggestions here. I'm first gonna just listen to that same track just so I have a sense. You want me to listen to Nelly? It's okay. All right. Shakira. Ghost of Perdition. That's the best recommendation that I've gotten so far. Wow. Queen. I like that suggestion. This is the best Queen song. Ooh, it's a bit bright for this. Wow. It's definitely bright for this. Holy crap. Oh, you guys can't hear it, I guess. Oh, weird. Yeah, just it's sibilant. For this track, it's pretty sibilant. Great song. Love this song. James Blake? Yeah, I like James Blake. All right. Rip VOD. Yeah, I mean, I'm not monetizing this. This is Retrograde, James Blake. It's a great track. Yeah, I want it to be low. I want the music low. This one sounds almost great, but it's sibilant. Almost. This sounds, yeah, I mean, Harmon-esque, right? Just too much treble. Oh, Yoshihiro Kawa was great. I love Yoshihiro Kawa. Let's do it. Oh, Portishead's good too. Wandering Star. Let's see if I can find Wandering. There we go. It's creepy. No, 7 Hertz Zero is the better Zero. The well-tuned Zero. 7 Hertz Zero and Zero Red are good. The regular Zero, not good. Yeah, the graph on the box. Where did I put it? Here it is. It looks reasonable, but again, this is going to be, it's got to be 711 that they're testing this on. It's, yeah. Again, this is going to be Harmon. I can already tell. I mean, if it's anything like the graph on the box. All right. Let us measure. You thought 7 Hertz Zero was very bland and bright. Yeah, it needed, the issue with the 7 Hertz Zero is that it didn't have enough bass. But for the rest of the fine grain stuff, it was actually pretty good. Definitely better than the Truth Ear Zero. All right. Let us test. It might be bright, or it might be loud. Sorry, guys. Left, right in. That's why. There we go. Hey, look at that. One where it's difficult to tell feels perfect. Truthier is good, lol. What? No, Truthier red is good. Truthier 0, the blue one, is not good. Oh, come on. Did it lose the seal? Sorry. Gotta do this again. Okay, so we got one of them. 1 second, guys. Okay. Zero too spicy in the lower treble and not enough bass. Yeah. That's the truthier one, yeah, I agree. All right. Let's make this. I wish it would just like load this stuff by default, but it doesn't. Maybe there's a way to do that, but okay, let's align it. There, that's what it measures like. Change the name here. This is the Simgot what is this even called? EM6L. EM6L. Bam. All right. Yeah, this is the problem with Harmon right here. This will be Harmon-like, I expect. And this is my issue with it. This isn't, I mean, it's bright there too, but given the balance here, this is not the problem. It's this. Pin a mountain indeed. All right, let's compensate it. Did I do that right? Yeah. Oops. Yep. Is bright. I kind of wish there were a wireless version of the HD660s. I think you mean HD600s. No, HD660 S2 I can understand. I don't understand why people now would want a 660. Right, because 660 S2 is just better than that. It's not better than a 600 though. Like a 600 is still, like I would rate the 600 line as like number 1 is HD600, number 2 is HD650 6XX, number 3 is HD660 S2, number 4 is HD660S. So, but you know, I can understand why someone would want the 660 S2 over the HD600 if you want less ear gain, right? That does make a certain amount of sense. Oh, 600s, yeah, okay. Yeah, same page. You often say that ZMF headphones tend to make bad recordings sound good and good recordings sound better. I don't know if I've said that. I don't know if I've said that. All right. Is there an IM with the same sound as the 700 with more bass and a little more energy? I mean, that's kind of the red, kind of. Why does the scoop in the upper mid-range done by 64 audio translate, or what does the scoop in the upper mid-range done by 64 audio translate to in hearing? So, yeah, so they are a bit relaxed right at around 3K generally. It's, what it does is it makes it not quite as like clarity focused, right? It's a bit warmer as a result. But the benefit is that it's a lot more versatile with a wider range of music because, and this is, I swear to God, this is a passage from Teal that haunts me. They did subjective listening tests to determine that essentially, this is way before the Harmon stuff. They did subjective listening tests to determine that diffuse field was the appropriate sound signature for tone color, as they called it, or timbre. And this also is confirmed. Sorry, this is diffuse field of this rig. And this was also confirmed by Hammershøi and Mahler, or not confirmed, but Hammershøi and Mahler, you know, and Teal kind of say the same thing about diffuse field. But there's a passage in Teal where they talk about how some of the reports from those listening tests indicated that it could come across as too harsh or too biting or too, you know, glaring. And they found the same thing with speakers, if I remember the passage correctly, when they did listening experiments there. So their conclusion was that this actually has to do with the recording. So if you have a perfect recording, this level of ear gain won't be perceived as too harsh or too fatiguing if you have an ear similar to this one, let's say. You know, but if the recording is imperfect or in some ways emphasizes stuff in this region, as soon as you're just even a little bit over, right, that can be fatiguing. Now they just conclude this is an area that you need to pay attention to, right? They don't say much else about that. They just say, you know, it's worth tracking this or something. I can't remember what the exact language is for that passage. But this is the region that in Harmon's later research they reduced. Because again, what Harmon's doing is they don't care about the ear transfer function. They just want to know what people prefer. And given the program material that they're using, which is, there were at least 3 different, I can't remember how many there actually were, but there were a number of different recordings that people could use. And also given, you know, people's differences in HRTF for this region, you know, they probably would want less, right? Because it's it's a good indicator of versatility. Because if it's too much here, man, like it gets that gets pretty annoying. And the amount here will vary depending on the person. So yeah, so to get back to the question, the 64 audio IEMs are pretty relaxed in this region. It has the effect of not being as clear there, but also not the benefit is that it is more versatile. Okay, let's now measure this on the grass and see how it does relative to Harmon. Stay. I need to switch. I have a little switcher now that I use. Helpful. Ranks what lower? There was no IE research for Harmon 2013. What? I'm not sure what that's in response to. Oh, you guys are chatting with one another. So they based the IE research off of what they did for over years, and they figured their assumption was that the starting point should be the same, which is again a good assumption to make. But they didn't do the same. They didn't do the same studies. So preference research over ear good, preference research in ear limited. Let's just go with that. This is interesting. I got a little bit of variance there, but it could just be the seating. Let us change the name for starters. Interesting. Now keep in mind this is the RAO 402. But this is not what's on the back of the box. I mean, it's kind of close. The light picks it up here. Oh, there we go. Wait, this way. There we go. I can't really show it properly. The light won't catch it. It's black. There we go. Yeah, whatever. So let's imagine we go here. Yeah, it's kind of close. Kind of close. But with the RAO 402, it's going to be damping this region here by a bit. So it'll probably be like a little higher here. So yeah, the crazy thing is that like, you know, you'd look at this and you go, that should sound pretty good. I find this to be too bright, personally. A bit sibilant. I don't find it shouty, interestingly enough. It doesn't sound shouty to me, even though the ear gain here is quite high. This is, by the way, fine. Let's look at this again. But this region shows up more. Yeah, this is how I hear it. Definitely this is how I hear it. Glare right there. Interesting. So how do we feel about the Simgot? I think it's good generally for most people. But I think if you're treble sensitive, I would probably look elsewhere. Technicalities, subjectiveness, also fine. There's no issues here. This is not a problem. There's no blunting or anything like that. I wouldn't say it is as detailed as what you might get with, someone says Hexa. I would take the Hexa over this one, personally. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, what's next, guys? EM6 versus Quintet. Good question. Because they're both kind of Harmon-like, right? I'm going to go EM6. Sim got to be kidding. Why tilt the compensated graph? Yeah, so we're going to be showing preference windows around this because it's not just a straight line. The straight line is just a basic indicator of like, this is the tilt that on average people like, right? The reason why we're tilting it is because we want to reflect, and again, I've had many debates about this because I think it is more challenging for people to read a tilted graph than it is for them to read compensated to a flat line. In fact, I know it is. Everybody tells me this. But where Blaine is correct, I mean, he's correct about most things, I'd say. But in this particular instance, his assertion is that showing it this way with this tilt and compensating directly to diffuse field head related transfer function, it allows you to show both the objective ear transfer function, or you compensate to the ear transfer function, and then also show the preference tilt, right? So you can see essentially how something performs relative to what people prefer. And it doesn't just bake this in, essentially. And I do agree that, yeah, technically this is a better view of the data because you do get both the objective ear transfer function and the preference tilt from it, rather than just the reference curve that you're compensating to. But yeah, I also share the concern that it is more challenging to read. Oh God, don't. we do not reference the audio trolls here. There will be no feeding of the trolls here. Sim got to be kidding. I love it. All right, let's keep going. You personally prefer the tilt presentation. Haven't gotten used to it. Oh, haven't gotten used to it. I got you. All right. So we definitely want to do the timeless too. Let's do one other one here before that. I'm going to say we do the Kiwi Ears Orchestra Lite. I was a big fan of the original Orchestra. This is the Orchestra Lite. Let me just first get this out of the way here. There's so much like stuff you have to do for each measurement. EM6L. I'm gonna send all this stuff over to listener and he can put it all into our database. You are anti-tilt view. Yeah, I am also anti-tilt view in the sense that I think for most people this is going to be a challenge. But I am also pro tilt view because it is technically a better view of the data, because if you bake in the tilt, it creates the assumption that this curve is the one true curve, and that's not what the tilt is supposed to represent. It's supposed to represent the general preference tilt that people have. And if you remove it from the DFH RTF, right? So if you don't bake it in, you're really just compensating to the transfer function of the head of the ear, right? So it's like it's a compensation, but it's like using a microphone calibration essentially. Why am I struggling at opening up this? Scissors here. The fitment of the Hexa is an issue for you? I don't have an issue with the Hexa. Yeah, we started late because of the technical issues. All right, Orchestra Lite. Ooh, it's a nice blue shell design. I like that. Yeah, it has colors, much to my chagrin. I don't know about the Celeste Phoenix. Purple is best. You guys are killing me. Oh, good. Okay. Oh, wow. You get tons of different tips for this one. You get 3 baggies of tips. I don't know how much this one costs. And I don't know the configuration. It's very like transparent. Check that out. You can see all of the different electronics that are going on here. Let's see if I can recognize this actually. Yep, resistors, caps, no inductors that I can see, unless it's like hidden. Oh, maybe. There's definitely capacitors that are like, oh shit. There goes my soldering iron. Definitely capacitors like this in here. And then there's also resistors, although my resistors are in that form. Yeah, it'd be crazy if there were inductors. Could you imagine putting something like, I mean, I suppose you can make them smaller, but these are inductors. All BA. Okay. Yeah, the original Orchestra was all BA as well, and I thought it was very good. It's very detailed, and I liked it. And also, I know the guy who tuned it, and this is a person who, the original, and is a person who is very good at tuning IEMs. Has a lot of expertise. Hexa versus Zero Red. Okay, if you want something with a bit more detail and treble, and upper mid, well, if you want something, they're not that far off. But if you want something with a bit more detail and clarity, Hexa. If you want something with more bass, then go with the Zero Red. Personally, I do think the Hexa is better. The Hexa is very Blessing 2-ish in its tuning, which is a good tuning. Yeah, for me, it's like red is basically better than everything under the Hexa. And also, if you want more bass, it would be preferable over the Hexa. Sorry, yeah, it would be preferable over the Hexa. But personally, I would probably choose the Hexa and then just EQ a bit. Okay, let me... Hold on a second. Just going to add all my targets in here. My targets. I'm doing it first this time. Imagine that. Okay. Now, which tips should we use? The white ones or the red ones? I haven't found any inductors that fit in IEM shells and are also particularly useful. Yeah. Not those ones anyways. I mean, unless the IEM shell is massive. I wouldn't sacrifice tonal balance for technicality. Unless I'm, you know, just going full EQ. There aren't any purple tips. Come on. Yeah, maybe we could make a really big IEM and just throw a massive inductor in there. What do you think about the Verite closed? I've never reviewed it. Probably better than the open. I listened to it at CanJam once. But though, keep in mind, the Verites have a particular 5K resonance that most folks notice. But when I heard the Verite closed at CanJam, I remember thinking immediately I liked it better than the open. So, and I personally owned the open, so I would not choose the open over the closed anymore. All right, let's listen. Where did I put? Come on. I've created a nest of wires. There we go. Don't let listener fool you with his DT200 propaganda. Yeah, it's not great. I mean, for somebody it might be great, but for me it's not. Yeah, not for me. All right, let us listen to some tunes. What are we listening to for the Kiwi Ears Orchestra Lite? Give me song recommendations here. Within Temptation? Come on, guys. Why do you keep saying Fast Car, Tracy Chapman? Pineapple Thief. All right. Nice. It's good so far. The vocals are very like forward, but this sounds This sounds technical so far. Technical. So far, out of all the ones I've listened to so far, yeah, today, this is the most technical. Most subjectively good. Okay, yeah, wow. Skip it a bit. It's not perfect for the tuning. There's... It's good though. Yeah, this is good. Alright, let's try Fast Car. I'll skip a bit. This is not... There we go. Sounds good so far. Yeah, this is... I'm okay with this. Is this a meme song? Apparently. Or apparently not. Apparently this is a really important one. It sounds good with this. I don't have any issues. Let's try Steven Wilson.
Once we've made sense of our world, we want to go fuck up everybody else's because his or her truth doesn't.
I hate this. I hate this opening line because it's just so... It's such bullshit. Vivaldi? Yeah, I should definitely use Vivaldi. I'm just gonna skip over that. This is excellent. Using Gojira drum solo. That's the real shit right there. This is so far the most balanced out of everything that I've listened to today. Usually this track gets a bit shouty on like most good IEMs. I don't have that issue with this yet. All right. I know I need to switch to another song here, but I like the way that this sounds. I think people who are like bass heads, they might want a little more bass than what this gives you. Pariah is his best song. I like Pariah as well. I wouldn't say it's his best song. What is Steven Wilson's best song? I'm not so into his new stuff, to be honest. I think there's an argument for the stuff from Hand Cannot Erase. That's his best. Happy Returns is a very good song. This song is, I think, one of the greatest songs ever written. It's incredibly well done. It's a bit of an acquired taste for the vocalist, but musically it's amazing. This is an IEM right now that I would consider buying. Like, straight up. This is fantastic. Like, I think some people may want it a little bit warmer if you like a warmer tuning, because this isn't warm, but it's balanced. It's really nice. This is Rhodes, like Porter said. It's really good. All right, what do you guys think of Esperanza Spalding? I could listen to that song forever. This is Esperanza. Freaking phenomenal artist. It's a bit of an acquired taste as well, but Esperanza Spalding is just... I mean, now we're getting into, like, you know, my esoteric jazz tastes, right? But, like, this is my jam. She's the singer and also the double bass player, like upright bass player. This is the Kiwi Orchestra Lite. Yeah. All right. This is very good. It's just, with that, it's perfect. It's flawless. And this one is Liudet Inan, Storm Corrosion. And somebody in the chat will know this. See, now we're getting into the music. And it's a good sign when you stop, you know, reviewing and you start just listening. Okay, if somebody knows this track, I will be impressed. Can you distinguish between FLAC files and YouTube audio? You probably could, if you do it the right way. But in a blind test, that might be a challenge. But just for example, like, I know that Qobuz is technically better, but I'm like, Spotify is fine, and most people, you can't tell the difference between Spotify 320 and you know, FLAC. But I'm sticking with Spotify because when they release their high tier, you know, their lossless tier or whatever, it's just a much better interface and library than the other services. I do wish that I'd gotten on the Qobuz train earlier, because then I would be using Qobuz, because it's now available in Canada, but all of my library is on Spotify, so it does use OGG Vorbis, I believe. And I think that is its, I believe that's its limitation. I could be wrong about that. I was using Amazon Music for a while as well, because I just had to move away from Tidal. I just kept buffering in Canada. Are you going through all the Steven Wilson projects now? I mean, yeah, you know what this is, right? No, I am a huge fan of what the stuff that Michael Ackerfeld does, and that's the reason why I like some of Steven Wilson's stuff. But I wouldn't say that I'm a huge Steven Wilson fan the way that I am of Michael Ackerfeld's stuff. This is just a collaboration between the two. It's one of those things that's more like just this ambient kind of stuff going on, that it sort of builds over time, and then you realize, wow, this is great. You like Steven's stuff more than Michael's stuff. I could see it. I mean, Porcupine Tree is legendary. Yeah, but I also, okay, you can transfer your library to Qobuz, sure, but I prefer the interface of Spotify. We're just in the ambient zone right now, as I'm reading the chat. Yep, you got it. Storm Corrosion is my, like, ultra hipster pick for great music. Has the bass on these balanced, but not like, if you're a bass head, this is not for bass heads. This is more just balanced, even keel. Do you favorite headphones listen to instrumental tracks like big band soundtrack music? HD600 with the bass boost, Hi-Fi Man Sindara, you know, it's my jam. Pardon me. Utopia. Just gonna throw Utopia in there. We need to do another video on the different streaming services. We did a video with Cameron and DMS a long time ago, and we need to do an updated one because Spotify's going to be coming out at some point with their, you know, high-end tier. I don't know what it's called. Do you not find HD600 loses its texture qualities as you boost the bass? Its bass is not great. I'm just going to say it outright. The HD600's bass is its weak point. And yeah, it runs into harmonic distortion territory pretty early on when you start boosting it. But you can go around 4 dB into the sub bass, depending on how loud you listen, of course. Distortion is related to level, right? I think you should boost the bass. I just don't think you should go. It's not like an Odyssey where you can create like whatever bass shelf you want, right? Yeah, I've been listening to it for too long because it's just so good. This is what great audio products should be. Watch it measures horribly. But subjectively, I love this. I love this. Yeah, I'll do a roundup at the end. I still have to go through the time list too as well. That's next. Do you find listening at night so much better? Not really. All right. One more. We'll do the measurements. Ocean sounds. Tree sounds? This is just the next one in the playlist. The Orchestra Lite was eclipsed by the B3, but it's a great set. I'm not sure about the B3. I haven't... Oh, Blessing 3. I don't know. I have a Blessing 3 here somewhere. I don't know which I like better. I'd have to compare. Are you planning on doing a video on EQ without doing it on a PC? Say if you were listening to a CD player or record player. I think the only way that I would do that is if I had like a Army ADI2 DAC. Maybe. I think it's worth doing that, yeah. Because a lot of folks, especially, you know, older generation, are not listening to music through, you know, a computer. Blessing 3 Dust gonna have people crazy. Yeah. How's the ear pressure? Considering it's full BA, no issues. Wow, okay. So, this is great. I'm just going to say right now, this is far and away what I would choose out of all of these so far. Let's, that's subjectively, right? That's what matters. But let's do the measurements. Let's see, because here's the thing, right? I mean, like when I was measuring the DT200, it revealed to me, I mean, there's a couple things there. One is that we probably do need to be going with population average for of the PINA for the 5128 data for IEMs, because the PINA is bypassed, right? So, and this is the DFHRTF of this specific PINA. So if Joel's in the chat, actually Joel might not be in the chat, but if Joel's in the chat, I agree with you now. And if anybody's in our Discord, ping Joel and let him know that he's right. Or he's probably right. The DT200 has made me believe that population average is the way to go. And thankfully that is something that we can find. We have that, we know what to look for there. But the other thing that it's indicated to me is that, like, for how I hear things, my sensitivity with IEMs is specifically that lower treble. So if something is too much there, something I do notice. And I would say even with these, that's the one area where I tend to hear it being a little bit emphasized. But it's not in a way that's nearly as egregious as what all of the rest of these have been so far today. So there's that. New favorite IEM. This is, I wouldn't say, I don't know about favorite, but it might be a new reference one for me. Okay, now we need to How am I going to do this? Let's just... I'm sorry for the sounds. There we go. I need to... How are we doing this? Because the inputs are switched, so I just need to, like the IM is like left and right are correct. It's just that the inputs are switched. There we go. This one is the challenge to get a seal on the rig. Oh yeah, this is a real challenge on the rig. It was not a challenge to get it to seal together. Wonder if I need to swap to a different stuff. The suspense is killing me guys, I'm sure. This looks like I got it. Lick ear tips for maximum seal. Looks like it's not quite perfect for the seal. Let's try this again. Oops. Also not correct. Might have to use some fun cap for this one. Some IMs are just pain in the ass. Well, it did happen. This might not be right either. Still not quite right. All right, let's just go with this. Yeah. It's not quite right. I'll double check with the Gross. I gotta change the name here again. let's go with this for now. There is some leakage going on here, but this is mostly reasonable. I'll double check the bass with the Gross here. Let me just... Let's take a look raw first. Oh, you can't do that with this apparently. Still not. So we can't go at 1K. Let's try lower. No? 1K. Where should I put this? Let's just do it manually. Yeah, so it's definitely forward in the mids here. And it's funny because this is the one that I preferred by a significant amount. Interesting. Interesting. It's not cheating. You can achieve this same result just using the alignment tool. It just depends on where you want to align it. Let's go with... Let's try even lower. What if I went here? Yeah. $500. So it's very clearly forward in this range, right? Which is interesting. It's kind of like what I was saying. Like, it's like, you know, it is clearly the best sounding to me, but it is the one that is the least linear, you know, or least, here, I'll show you with the compensated result. 1 second. If this is representative, I want to measure this again with the different tips. See if I can get a seal better. Let me... do the math here. It's the last one. Compensated. So it depends on where you align it, right? Like if you align it at 1K. All right, it looks looks like just below the target the whole time, right? So usually you want to go for best fit with the data. Maybe that's too much. So if we try like that, roughly, it's probably how most people would hear it. So this one, for most people, again, probably a bit forward in the 1 to 2K region. A bit relaxed in the... for basically 3K and up. This, yeah, does come across. You get a bit of treble air up there. But yeah, it's interesting. This is the... yeah, someone says anti-V shape. Yeah, I think that's kind of what's going on here. Oh, 630 and increase the number of octaves? Yeah, I can do that. Let's say 3. It may, yeah, I don't know if I'll... Best fit would be closer to this, I think. Probably. Yeah. But see, here's the crazy thing, right? This sounds so much better to me than all of the rest, and the other ones, some of them, not all of them, but some of them were a little closer even to this. And this sounds so much better to me than the DT200, which measures like this. Right? Like, based on looking at this, you would think that this would be preferable, but it's not even remotely close. This sounds so much better to me. All right, how much is the Kiwi Orchestra Lite? I actually have no idea. $250. Yeah, I mean, This is funny. This would be my benchmark at 250. Easy, easy. The dip in the upper bass is definitely helping with in the upper bass. You mean this? Yeah, I guess. I suppose. Hold on a second. Let me try this on with different tips, and then we'll try it on the Gross, because they did come with like a whole bunch of different tips. N-shaped. Yeah, but with this one, it's like there's nothing that really stood out as being like fatiguing or glaring or anything like that. So maybe it's just a better fit for my HRTF. I would say the only thing that I noticed perceptually that I didn't like was this. But this, it's not like it was too. It wasn't too much on any particular track. I just noticed it. All right, let's try different tips here. But yeah, this is so far easily a new benchmark at 250. Okay, let's try and get that seal. Actually, you know what? Let's try foam tips. Sorry, guys. Because foam tips will at least guarantee a seal. If I can actually get them to fit. The shell for this is kind of similar to that of the Blessing 2. So it is a little on the larger side for the shell. Yeah, these foam tips are too small. Shit. Let's use the ones that are... Oh, no. Yeah, these foam tips are not going to work. Okie doke. Let's try one of these other ones here. Timeless 2 or Quintet? We'll find out. Let's go. Some kind of seal here. Yeah, it's not a perfect seal. This rocking thing. All right, fun tech time. Let's try. Oh, are you kidding me? Seriously? You know what? It might be actually that the tip is too large, and so it is scrunching in the ear canal. So let's try a smaller tip. If I type loud, will it affect the measurement? No. Smaller tip. There. But interesting. Interesting. This is our second one here, so let's try this now. I keep forgetting to change the name. Yeah, that's a little closer. Still, this is different here. And then the rocking motion. Yep. All right, let's try it on 711. I'm going to go back to the original tip here. Yeah. This one has like this the Kiwi Orchestra Lite here. It gives me almost like New SA6 vibes, which kind of makes sense because of the mid-range emphasis there that it has. Okay. Let us gross this. And I'm sorry, I know I need to change the names. I'll change it for this one. Gra. Okay, let's try the other channel. Subjectively, this sounds to me like if you took a truthier hexa and gave it more bass. Kind of. Yeah. Maybe not quite as, like a little warmer in the lower treble. There you go. It's reasonable. And let us take a look at how this is against. What do we do in Harmon? Okay. Now, where are we going to align this? There? Because that doesn't look right. Right, it's aligning it for that, right? But not yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it doesn't look right at all. What if we did it at 1K? No? 500 hertz maybe? Yeah. Couldn't tell you. It looks super dark on the Gross, which is crazy because it doesn't sound like that at all. Looks great. No, it doesn't. That alignment makes critical point, doesn't it? What do you mean? But I mean, I would tell you the same thing about Harmon IE. Like this is crazy to me how bright that is. But of course, it also has the bass to compensate, right? So that's one of the issues. And it's funny because this just sounds so much more correct to me in the upper mids and treble compared to any of the other ones. And it's so dark across. Let me see if I can grab the TFH RTF and see for 711 and see how it does compared to that. 1 second. DF. Okay. Let us. Right, sure. Let's use the last one. Cross Keymar. Yeah, this is a bit closer. It's a bit closer. But again, where do you normalize this? Like, if you, like, what if you normalize it at like 2K? What happens? Let's get rid of that one. Yeah. I wouldn't say that it sounds perceptually like this. It sounds a lot more, like, again, keep in mind for the 711 stuff, 200 hertz and below is not as accurate, right? And same with the upper frequencies. But it sounds a lot closer to, here we go. Did I do the right one there? Or is it this one? Yeah. It sounds a lot closer to these two for me. Let me just, maybe if I time align it there, or not time, frequency align it. 2K, yeah, maybe 2K. Because it's like this section is forward, right? So how are you supposed to assess the rest? Maybe like that. All right, so that is the Kiwi Orchestra Lite. It measures less harmony than any of the rest of them. Got to squeak 3 rigs at the same time. Only 2 right now. I think the only real issue with this one is this little feature there, around 4.5K. But it does give a little bit of that, I don't know, euphony, rich, I don't know what to call that. But I think this is subjectively by far the best out of all of these that I've tried. I would recommend it. I mean, if you have an ear like mine, I would recommend it at least over all the other ones so far. And also, this might be one that I end up choosing to use or actually buy. Because it sounds to me like a slightly warmer Hexa, if that makes sense. Okay, let's move on to the next one here. Sorry, I know that one took a long time, but I was very confused about the measured results there for Gross, especially. Okay. Next. Let us do the Timeless 2. I'm covered in boxes now. This is terrible. Oh my God. When I started this, I did not expect it to go for 3 hours. Let's go with spicy hour. Let's start while I'm doing this, and then we can get into spicy takes. Give me all of your cursed opinions. I find it interesting how you don't need to have the volume up on IEMs as much as you have on regular earbuds. The earbuds that just sort of sit in your ear canal. The time has arrived. 7 hertz timeless. So with the original timeless, so this is the timeless 2, right? With the original one, I thought it was impressive, but I wouldn't have chosen it because I find it to be a bit zingy in the treble and not a good spot. And I also found I didn't really like the bass performance. We need a new connector that swivels like MCX but is durable. I'm fine with 2-pin, but sure. Yeah, you didn't like the Dioko? I also didn't like the Dioko. I would not go with the Dioko. Hexa is better. IM boxes are big and wasteful? Maybe. There's also like this tiny little, like this one, right? You could do that. Well, it's like anything with that Critical does, right? Like there's going to be hype behind it. And then if it's not like the best thing ever, right? People are going to freak out that it wasn't that great. But I think we need to just make sure what our expectations are. These are products that are not necessarily going to be perfect for everybody. Okay, you get... They look like cufflinks, kind of. So you can, I assume you can sort of use the tuning nozzle there to change things. And this is kind of cool. All right, I'm into that. God, yeah, you're right. There's a ton of I'm just looking at my desk now. It's just like boxes upon boxes. Oh God. I assume the cables. No, these are the tips. Oh, there we go. And the cable. All right. Anything you don't like about the U12T? I do think there's a bit too much upper treble zing for me. Where timeless 2 has cuffs. Yeah. All right. Let me. Where's the rest of? There we go. Jesus Christ! What have I done? Okay, my pile has now exploded. So these do use MMCX, much to the annoyance of many people, I assume. They look kind of cool. They got that carbon fiber-ish thing going on. Here is the cable. I'll take it out here. Not anything special for the cable. Or at least doesn't look like anything special. And yeah, these are planar IEMs. I don't know, again, how expensive these are. We'll find that out afterwards. Have I done the original timeless yet? Yes, of course. I reviewed the original timeless and I thought it was good. Very impressive, but also not without its issues, right? This cable is... What the hell? What is... This looks like the cable from like... what you get with like... some electrostatic headphones. Yeah, I don't know if I like that. 1970s cable, exactly. All right. Yo, what the hell? Okay, what the hell? Check this out. There's like a little metal bit on the inside. That's probably where the tuning filters come into play. Yeah. If you take this off, there's sort of a... It looks like an alligator claw. Let's just say that. All right, so this is with the stock ones that are in there. Exactly. Okay, let us listen. What should we listen to? All right, let's go. Come on. I need some music suggestions. Otherwise, we'll just go through the same ones we went through. Deadmau5, Korn, Justin Bieber. Something with like that's well recorded. Let's try Fast Car again. Right away, it's kind of bright. Crisp. Fatiguing. With this tuning filter, we'll change it up because there's two more for me to try here. So that's a nope for me. Chris Cornell, You Know My Name. I'll try that one. It's from the Casino Royale soundtrack. It's super bright. Like this is just treble madness. Yeah. Maybe I'll try some different tips here. It's cool tips they come with. It's a good track. All right. I know you guys couldn't hear that. Listen to this. I bet with EQ this would be great, but it's really bright. I'm hoping that these tips are better than the ones that we struggle's real right now. Holy shit. There we go. They won't drastically change it, but they can still have an effect. They didn't fix the treble peak that I got from the original, or if they did, it's still bright as shit. Let me try some of these other tuning tips here. These just pop right off, don't they? Interesting. So that was with the default tips. Let's try these other ones here. Or default tuning nozzles, I should say, not tips. Now, if I could only... There we go. Actually, you know what? Yeah. Let me first measure it with these ones in it, and then we'll go with these other ones, because I don't want to have to do this twice. But with the default ones, the hard pass. Like, no. Okay, let me measure. And then I'll just measure it like this, and then we'll see what actually changes, but I may need to use the canal extension tube for measuring the different nozzles, just for consistency's sake. So subjectively, though, this is a nope for me. Oops, that's my music. I like what somebody said about the Kiwi's Orchestra Lite, that it is like the opposite of a V-shaped kind of sound. That's kind of, it makes sense. I'd kind of describe it that. It's mid-forward for sure. Very pleasant though. Okay. Let us begin the measurements process. And of course there's no C. Hey, get a seal. That's easy. Already good. Okay. Take a look at this in all of its glory. Let us just do raw first. Yeah, same issue. Where are we going to normalize this, guys? Like 500 hertz? Like, I mean, come on, what the hell? This is so bad. It's like the complete wrong spot for the ear gain. But let's try with one of the other tuning nozzles here, because you get 3. So those are the gold nubbin ones. I'm just calling them that. And let's try now the silver ones. I am hopeful that this shifts the ear gain, because that does not resemble an HRTF of any kind. Like my sort of sense of this, like there's people who look at this stuff and they're like, it must perfectly match, and they're completely misunderstanding how this stuff actually works. You know, at the very least, it needs to resemble an HRTF of some kind. And I suppose this does. It's just that it's in the wrong spot. Okay, let's try now. So this is with the silver one. Let me just, that's the wrong thing here. This is, okay. Okay, well, not really much better. Not really any better. I don't know. I don't know, boss. Like, what is... This can't be right. What the hell? Let's go with the third one. Do they come with placebo tips and filters? I mean, it's not really placebo. Like if you think about, if the measurements actually do show difference, like the new ones, like the Falcon Pro, when you swapped out the nozzle, it's an objective difference. Like it's not even debatable. So now I'm using the third one, which is not to the nubbin. It's more of just like a traditional nozzle look to it. So let's try that. Okay. White noise time. Sorry, guys. I'll measure the other side as well on the dross just to make sure that this is representative. What the heck? Okay. That's better. Full bright as shit though. What the hell? Jesus. I mean, I don't even know if I need to, like, okay. I'm like that. I don't know what to do here, guys. Like, this is not great so far. Let's try using this one because the other ones are just so out of whack that it, like, immediately sounds wrong. Yeah, I mean, was that the right one? Yeah. This is as good as it gets for this one. Oops. Yikes. Yikes. So, I think let's align it a little differently here. Nope. All right. This one makes me sad. That's aggressive. I'm just going to listen to it with this flat one because, so if you're wondering, this is what they look like, right? And the flat one, I mean, immediately the silver one and the other gold one were like they measure almost identically. The flat one measures very differently. So I will listen to this with the flat one. It's timeless in the frequency domain. That's a good joke. Yeah, I'm going to measure both channels here. It could be really bad unit variation. I'm also going to measure on the gross because it could be also that it's having some unique interaction with the mannequin head, with an actual pinna. So I'll use a canal extension tube as well. Unless, like, am I missing something? Did they... Is there like some other sort of like filter thing that I need to install here? No, there's a filter in there. I can see it. You'd be surprised what filters can fix. I mean, that's literally what tuning it is. Often. Not always, but often. I'm wondering if there's something else I'm supposed to be like doing here, like installing, because it sounded very wrong immediately and measures very weird too. So let me listen to that track again. That's my music again. There we go. It's horrible. Awful. That is like, that's not just, oh, it's not for me, it's not my kind of tuning. That is intolerable. I don't understand. Like, unless I'm missing something entirely here, they completely miss the mark on this one, and this product shouldn't exist. Oh, last chance here. I'm going to completely swap out the tips here. I'll go with one of the darker nozzles. From pleasant to getting waterboarded. Yeah, exactly. That's... This is... I'm kind of shocked, to be honest. Because the first one was good, mostly, except it had a bit of a treble peak. And it also had... a bit of a bloat in the upper bass, but for the most part it was good, and it was very technical sounding. This is just completely off the mark. Why not just get the original Timeless? I listened to the Timeless AE as well, and also didn't find it as good as the original Timeless. That one is legitimately timeless, apparently. Wait, how are you supposed to make something that's timeless, the Timeless 2, when the first one's already timeless? All right, last chance here. Let's go. Music again. No. It sounds more okay with like music like this, maybe. It's still like piercing in the treble. The bass is nice. Lower mids are okay here. Mid range is a little forward, not in a bad way. And then it's just like treble, like complete madness. Now I wonder if this will actually measure okay on the Gross, because remember the Gross is using an RA0402, which is a little. It has some damping in the mid treble, which should be interesting. Let us return to the graphs here. So this is with the stock tips. Sorry, stock tuning nozzle. And just the generic tips. It'd be great if I selected my Gross system here. Okay. And let me just do the other side. Yeah, it's reasonable, but still a bit off. I wouldn't worry too much about that, though. Let's just do with Kimar here. Hold on a second. This is going to be difficult to read unless I do this. Yeah, I don't know where we're lining it there. Yeah, as expected, it doesn't measure as messed up here because of the damping, right? So this is probably higher right here. Still, best case scenario here. Yeah. Not good. Okay. I think that is going to be it for the Timeless 2. Pass. Yeah, that's the Gross. No, thank you. So there's only 2 that I haven't done, and I'm gonna need to move those to the next one because I've been going here for like 3 hours. More than 3 hours. So I want a couple of spicy takes here, and I'm gonna do sort of the ranking of how I feel about these various different ones. Yeah, I still have the Prestige LTD to do, and then also the Kiwi Ears Dolce, but I'm gonna have to do that next time. Is there a better budget IEM than Hexa? Not really. I mean, there's ones that are more budget, like the 7Hz Zero. Single-stranded cables are better than braided. Timmy posted his Volure review. What does he think? I don't know that I would like the... I don't know that I would choose the Volure over the U12T. Like, the upper treble on the Volure is just a bit too much for me. Well, I would do the Prestige. I literally have just been doing this for 3 hours though, so I'm man only has so much time in the day. Yeah, the Variations is good. It's just shouty. See, like, I prefer the whatever the Kiwi or Orchestra Lite over the Variations even for stock tuning. I have not tried the Prestige yet. It is still in its packaging. Do you know where Precog posts his reviews? He hasn't updated his site in a while. He's just been very busy. He's been on vacation traveling. So busy with having fun, I imagine. Variations also measures great on the 5128. I imagine that it is a bit lean in the lower mids, but yeah, I imagine it does measure reasonably well. Helios or Crimson? Helios. Well, okay, I don't know because I haven't tried a production Crimson. And actually, I shouldn't say that because I can't use the Helios because it hurts my ears. Have you tried the Kiwi or Quartet? Is that one of the ones that I did? Yeah, I did that here. That was one of the earlier ones that I did. Yeah. Where does the Kiwi or Orchestra Lite technical performance sit in the grand scheme of things? I think it's pretty good, actually. I think it's. I mentioned this before. It sounds like the Truthier Hexa just with extra bass, like a not extra bass, like a warmer Hexa, if that makes sense. So, I mean, I know it's more expensive, but it's like, well, I guess I know now, but it's like, if I didn't know the price of either of those two, I would put the subjective qualities in a similar category, if that makes sense. How about Quintet? Did I do that one? Is it on my list? There's so many. Oh, I do have the Quintet here somewhere. Where is it? Yeah, I mean it's Orchestra Lite. No. There, Quintet. Yeah, I did do it. Yeah, what are you talking about? I did it. That was like one of the first ones I did. It's all blending together. Yeah. Okay. Let me just sort of give some thoughts on today's session of madness. So, first things first, the best measuring IEM out of all the ones that I've come across here, based on the diffuse field head related transfer function of the B&K 5128, is the Audiosense DT200. But that is one that I didn't prefer it over. I preferred it over the Timeless 2, but I didn't prefer it over some of the Kiwi ears offerings, and I didn't really prefer it over the Simgot either. It's just too much of the glare and the lower treble, right? And I think that was a theme for a lot of them that were aiming for these sort of Harmon-like tunings. Like the Simgot was aiming to be a bit Harmon-like, and then also the some of the Kiwi ears ones ended up being like that too. They're mostly good except for the lower treble for me is too much. I would say the Thieaudio Hype 2 is the one that is kind of disappointing to me because it got a lot of things right. It's just that I agree with Zeus in the sense that it's a bit too V-shaped. It's like it's like it sounds like things are playing at two different volumes. Then for the Kiwi ear stuff, far and away the Orchestra Lite is the best sounding one, even though it wasn't necessarily the best measuring one. And then the Timeless 2 is the biggest disappointment. I'd say the surprise for me out of all of these would be the Simgot. For people who like a little bit brighter of a sound signature, a little bit more that sort of like it Harmon IE like. The Simgot actually did pretty well for that. And I would choose it over, weirdly, I would choose it over the Thieaudio Hype 2. Then so to rank them, I would say Kiwi Ears Orchestra Lite far and away, then probably many other IEMs, then the rest of these. That's how I'm going to describe them. But a surprise was definitely the Simgot. And I didn't hate the other Kiwi Ears one. What was it? The Quartet and the Quintet. I wouldn't choose them over the Orchestra Lite, like not even remotely close. And I think they were also kind of Harmon-like as well, mostly. So the tunings are competitive. They're reasonable. They're generally good tunings. But they often have like one thing or another that, if I had to pick a theme for this, it would be that they tend to be a bit too bright and glaring in the lower treble across the board. And I think also a common trend for IEMs is unfortunately that they tend to go for broke in the air frequencies above 10K, like 12K. And I think it's not natural sounding. And really the only IEM out of this entire group that I've tried, apart from, because I didn't try the Dolce and I didn't try the Prestige LTD. That'll be for next time. But out of the ones that we evaluated today, the only one that I would actually consider is the Kiwi Ears Orchestra Lite. That is the only one that was not just tolerable, but good. The other ones I would say are easily tolerable. I wouldn't say that they are... I mean, they're good. I wouldn't say that they're great, to put it that way. High praise for the Orchestra Lite despite not measuring amazingly. Yeah, that's interesting. Right? I mean, like it measures like a little warmer, I would say, with a bit more of a mid-range forwardness. But the other one sounded particularly wrong in the treble to me. Well, not particularly. They had a feature or two, where I'd be like, I noticed that, not for me. So, Orchestra Lite versus Blessing 3. Now that is a good question. Personally, Orchestra Lite. But I could see an argument for Blessing 3. I think it's the one that has more of a fun, impactful bass because it's got a stronger distance between the bass and the lower mids. The Orchestra Lite is a little bit more about mid-range. The Orchestra Lite is almost like an SA6 Lite. That's actually a better comparison. But so again, this is just me subjectively. And my ear canal is not the same as what you get with the measurement rig. Is not the same as your ear canal, right? So if you have an ear canal that is, or an ear and a canal that is closer to that of the B&K 5128, you may prefer the DT200. You may prefer the Simgot, and you may prefer the Quintet. The Simgot actually, that's surprising to me. It's cheap. I think it was. What someone said is like $120 or something. It's not that expensive, and it's more tolerable than I thought it would be. Even though it's definitely still too much glare. But the biggest disappointment is that the Timeless 2 is completely intolerable. Like that doesn't make sense to me. I did not feel any pressure on the Orchestra Lite. No, I didn't notice that. You on the Blessing 3, it sounds blunted and muted, not very dynamic. I wouldn't say it's amazing in that regard, but it's got a competent tuning. I think people will like it. Yeah, it's interesting that they're going for Harmon for the Simgot thing. That's interesting. And they put it on the back of the box, which is cool. Why is 5128 not anatomical? Well, it is a mannequin head that is anthropometric. Yeah. But the Gross also with the KB5000 pinna is also anthropometric. It's just that they like you have different ears for different heads. The one thing to consider though is that the 711 data is not accurate below 200 hertz, not as accurate below 200 hertz or above 10K, whereas the 5128 is rated for accuracy in the full frequency range. It's just you have to think about this. I say this all the time, but you cannot think about this stuff as these are perfect representations of how, these headphones behave in all conditions. It's just an indication of how they behave on one head, right? And you change the condition of that head to a different head and you end up with a different result. And we even saw that with the comparison with the Gross, which is technically another head. So it gives you a general indication, but you can't predict, how it's perfectly going to sound to you based on this stuff. But the shape of the head is not anatomical behind the ear to me. What does that mean? It's literally a mannequin head. The other one's a flat plate. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, like the only one that actually has an ear canal is the 5128, right? And the 4620, right? Like they have an actual ear canal. But ear canals among people vary too. So and I know this because the DT200 is not good for me, even though it measures the best out of all of these. And I should say as well that I think we're probably going to go with population average because this is just the DFH RTF of the 5128 with the pinna, with its own pinna. And because we use IEMs, or because with IEMs they bypass the pinna, we may as well use a population average for the DFH RTF because it's not like this pinna is specific to this head. So the DFH RTF that we're using is specific to this pinna, right? How did they make the hexa measure so good in the 5128? They likely don't have that rig. That is a very good question. Yeah, that is a very good question because it really does measure well. The hexa is the one where it's like it measures great, sounds great, everything's great. With some of these other ones, it's like the DT200 measures great, subjectively, nah. And then other ones like the Kiwi Ears Orchestra Lite, it measures okay. I wouldn't say it measures good, like amazingly or anything like that, but it sounds clearly the best. So, and again, that's just to me. That's one person. All your grass heads out there, they're grass holes. All right. I think that's going to do it for the live stream today. Again, we've been over 3.5 hours. This was a long one, and I'm sorry I didn't get to everything. I knew I kind of wouldn't. We'll do another one again soon, I hope. Maybe at the end of this coming month. Anything that I didn't get to this month, I'll try and do in the next one. I'm hopeful that we can do this monthly roundup thing as a theme. Next time, though, I need some more spicy takes, guys, because we didn't really get that many. I want everybody to have your cursed opinions. Yeah, I was going to do spicy hour, but then this took 3 hours, so yeah, and nobody was dropping their peppers in the chat, so we'll do that next time. Okay, see you guys.